Hi, my name is Helbert Bello. I'm an enterprise software specialist, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about disaster recovery and business continuity plan. Stay tuned. Hi, my name is Helbert Bello. I'm an enterprise software specialist and also a Gaúcho, also a Southern Brazilian. Why am I wearing this clothes today? This is the clothes that we utilize in South Brazil. This is our cultural clothing, and it's called pilcha. So I am pilchado today to talk to you because I am somehow trying to show to the world what's going on in my home state. Right now, today is May 29th of 2024. It's been more than a month that my state's been underwater. So you have a understanding of what's going on in my home state. We, in Rio Grande do Sul, South Brazil, we are in a flood of the same proportions of Katrina. They are even saying that it's probably bigger. This disaster is bigger than what happened to New Orleans, and a lot of people were displaced. We have hundreds of thousands of people living in shelters right now. We have most of our cities underwater, still underwater because the rain is not stopping and we're not able to cope with all that water. Don't get me wrong, my state was somehow prepared for, because we had a similar flood in 1941, but this one was bigger than any other flood from before. And all the systems that we had in place to, avoid cities getting underwater and all the flood protection that we had were not enough to cope with the heavy loads of water that we had this time. We have cities that were simply squashed and washed away. We have cities that are now underwater and people cannot get back to their homes. We have businesses underwater, and we have important infrastructure underwater as well. So just to give you an example, if you are from North America, Canada, and the States, and you had some experience with Mexico, in Mexico they do the electronic invoice. We have a similar thing in Brazil. It's quite good, actually. The electronic invoices in Brazil are super fast. They work beautifully. Although the reason for us to have this is so the government can tax us more, and I'm not 100% agreeing with that, be aware. Although I don't like the reason behind it, I gotta give it to that it's a very good system. Unfortunately, tyrannical governments like the Brazilian government, they work really well when they want to tax people and overtax people. And they work really bad when it comes to helping people. So in this case, we're not getting much help from our federal government to help our state. And they're really, really leaving my people behind. They're not sending enough resources to help my people. Anyways, I don't want to get into political discussion here. I know I'm a very political person. I love to talk politics, and we should keep the dialogue open. But I wanted to give you an understanding that when the push comes to shove, you need to have a plan in place. When you have a disaster in hands, you will need to rely on your own plans. You will need to rely on your own capabilities. You cannot wait for the government. So in this example I was giving you about the invoice, the electronic invoice processing, the data center that processed it was 1 kilometer away from one of the from the big river that we have there. That's the name of my state, by the way. It's the big river from south, Rio Grande do Sul. So that big river was 1 kilometer away from the data center that processes the invoices from my state. but also from other states, the neighbor states, Santa Catarina, and some other states in Northeast Brazil. So all the companies that needed to invoice and to send their products, to sell their products, were not able to do that during a couple of days, or they did in contingency. It was really slow and really hard to do this thing. And there is a contingency way to issue those invoices, by the way. So they were issuing on contingency. But that was affected by that flood. And the thing I want to bring to you on this video is get prepared. Get prepared. And imagine if you were in that situation. If you were in that situation, would you be able to have a continuity in your businesses? Would you be able to continue to use your enterprise resource planning system, your ERP or your CRM? Would you be able to, sell things? Would you be able to control your manufacturing? And the first question you should make, you should question yourself is, where are my systems right now? Where are your systems? If you are utilizing systems on premises, fine, you know where they are. But are you prepared? Is your company prepared for an eventual natural disaster, or a wildfire, or a flood, or a hurricane, or something like that? Do you have different power supply? Do you have different internet supply? Do you have satellite internet? Do you have your backups set up? Can you mirror your systems today in a different data center so you can do continuity? Although your on-premise data center is down, you can right away put your company into the mirrored data center outside of your premises. Do you have all that? Well, listen, I've been working with a lot of companies in the United States, in Canada, in Mexico, Brazil, South America, Europe, you name it. And I can tell you this, when we go to the nitty-gritties and we talk to people, we figure out that they don't have this plans in place, that they don't have all this disaster recovery capabilities in place, or business continuity plans in place. So if you are in the United States, you have a very good source of information to think about plans, think about measures you can take and put in place. It's just go recovery.gov. It's from the U.S. government. It has business continuity plans. It has a lot of resources for you to think of these situations and be prepared. But one thing that I want to bring from experience, and not leaving that experience myself there in South Brazil, because I'm safe and sound in Canada right now, but from talking to people that are there, in the front lines, you should think not only on your business continuity plan and your disaster recovery plan, and where are your systems if it's in a data center tier 1, 2, 3, or 4, but you should also think about people, because these people that you have on your company, they are the ones that will ensure continuity. But before we get to people, let me just finalize the idea behind where are your systems and what measures you can, put in place to avoid being in a situation where your systems are down and you cannot work. So when you evaluate where your systems are, either on premises or in a data center and on the cloud, you should always make a research on everything related to that data center. Is it tier 4, tier 3? I strongly recommend to be on tier 3 or 4. Why? Because those have redundancy in both supplies of energy and internet, but also they are mirroring the servers. So let's say you have a physical or a logical problem going on in a server where your system is installed. Then you have a mirrored system in a different environment that can right away guarantee your uptime. Okay. And also, when you are working with tier 3 and tier 4, those data centers, they can ensure that you can go to the level of stress of utilizing all capacity, and it will be delivery. So tier 1 and tier 2 are more simple, and they don't have that much, assurance that they have backup supplies. I believe tier 1 is only about cooling and backups, and tier 2 is about cooling, backups, and security measures. And then tier 3 and 4, they add these layers of, having mirroring and assuring that if there's a stressful load of utilization, it can cope with it and ensure continuation. So I would always prefer tier 2, tier 3 and 4. Besides that, if you have it in place, if you have on premises, your systems on premises, then you gotta assure that yourself. And how do you do that? First, don't have your data center in a area that you're putting yourself at risk. Let's say you have your data center close to a river that often, rises and floods, and, don't do that. Try to put your data center in a higher place, at least evaluate where the previous floods reached before in terms of the altitude, and then place your data center in a higher place possible. Ensure you have 2 different internet connections. It could be one fiber, and it can be also one from satellite. So if you have, a satellite and a fiber coming into that data center, you should be fine. But if you can have 2 different fiber internet providers coming from different backbones, because you don't want ended up, just splitting the same internet to come from 2 different sources. You want to ensure that they're both different providers coming from different backbones, and they're tied to different networks. If you have that, you are covered as well. But you should ensure at least 2 power supplies. Internet supplies. And then talking about power supplies, I'll give you the example of what's going on with my home state right now, with that very example I was giving on the invoice processing. The invoices there were processed at this data center owned by the state of Rio Grande do Sul. And they had no breaks, and they had their generators on the first level. So what happened was, when the waters rose and they needed to move a lot of infrastructure to the higher levels of the data center, they needed to bring the power supply as well. And the power supply was also shut down in the city because people were being rescued, and the power supplies were a hazard to those rescuing people. They could get, electrocuted. So what happened was that the city had to shut down the power supply for everybody, including the data center. The data center, for keeping the no breaks and the generators in the underground or first level, needed to put that to the second level or the third to ensure continuity. But that's not enough. That place is still underwater. How can they bring now diesel to ensure the generators to continue running? And I know they are utilizing, ways to supply diesel to those generators. But think of a situation where, let's say, it's a problem where you cannot even supply diesel to your generators. How can you cope with that? So perhaps you want to ensure that on your own data center, you have it all covered. So let's say it's in a higher ground. You have, 2 different sources of internet. You can ensure that your data will be accessed. You have backups in place. You are mirroring your own data center in a different one, I don't know, at least 30 kilometers distance from this one. And you are ensuring power supply via your power supply, from the grid, but also from a generator that the very own generator should have its own backups for supply of diesel or any other type of energy source you utilize. I don't know if it's gas or if it's gasoline. It doesn't matter. You got the gist of it. So you got to ensure this. Now, back to the point I was making before about people. At this time right now, there are cities in my state that are 80% or plus underwater, still underwater. And people are insuring their own houses, their own homes. They're not going to work. They're staying there because, unfortunately, there are people taking advantage that everybody left their homes and they're going there to steal. So people now are very preoccupied with their own survival. They're in shelters. Why would they leave their personal businesses to help you with your business? That's in a different level of, in a scale of importance. Their lives are at first, their families are at first, and the company comes maybe third or fourth place. So if you have a business continuity plan, if you have a disaster recovery plan in place, and I said that before, you can get those templates for disaster recovery business continuity plan from recovery.gov. It's free there. So if you have those in place, ensure at least that you have, maybe people at the C level of the company that knows the plan, people at the managerial level that knows about the plan, and people that execute day-to-day activities that knows the plan. So let's utilize an example of an IT department. So there's the CIO, is an executive, and there's the IT manager. Maybe he is responsible for data. The IT is the data manager, and then under there is a analyst. Everybody here should know about the plan, should have the plan under their arms, and they should keep that plan in a place that they can get access to that plan in the case of disaster, and if they need to execute that plan. You should do drills as well. So important, because if you secure that enough people have access to the plan, they can execute the plan. In the case, let's say the house of the CIO was affected and the data manager was affected as well, at least the analyst can pull up the plan and put it in place. But if you never tested the analyst executing that in the drill, you don't know if it's capable or not. So you gotta do tests, you gotta do drills, you gotta ensure that these people know what to do, when to do, and how to do. So to me, it's clear now that I am I'm not, experiencing this in firsthand, but talking to people that are still there and putting measures in place and helping others, I'm hearing this from them. They say, hey, listen, by the way, I'm here helping others, but I'm really concerned about my own place that is underwater. I'm here trying to help the company I work for and try to deliver, but I'm also concerned about the people in shelters and about my colleagues, my very own colleagues from my company that are in that shelter. Then I need to supply them with food and other stuff. So in the case of an emergency, a disaster, potentially, 80% of your personnel will be involved in that disaster, will be affected by that disaster, and will think about others. And those that are able to help will be helping people first. So consider this. Consider evaluating people that have the leadership, people that are in leadership, but they're also leaders in their day-to-day, people in all, the strata of your company's organigram. They can be C-level, they can be managerial level, they can be execution level. Doesn't matter. You need to have people that know how to put the measures in place and continuity and the business plan continuity. So with that said, I would just like to say that I hope my state gets through this, and we're very, very tough people. I know they will come out of this stronger. And but if you want to make a donation, if you want to help in any ways, reach out to me, leave a comment here. And I've been helping them myself, and I've been asking people to help because it's been 30 days now that they're underwater, and there's, they need to continue with their lives, but they need to be placed again into their lives, into their jobs, into their, day-to-day. And it will be hard. They will need to clean their houses. They will need to throw a lot of things away. They will need to buy new clothes. They will need to buy, new kitchens. They will need to buy new sofas. They will need to buy everything, because everything is underwater for a lot of time. And most of these things, they go rotten. They can't utilize it anymore. So if you want to help, leave a comment here. I can, help you identify where to send your money, and to the, people that are in the front lines, and people that I know of and that I worked with before, and then I'm friends with, and I know they're doing a very responsible utilization of the resources, because I've been donating myself as well to them. So with that said, and finalizing, please like and subscribe this channel. My intention here is to help you, with a variety of information around enterprise software. And it was a pleasure to talk to you today, and Força Rio Grande.